Hello, this is Kim Cagan. We're ready to start our meeting for August 25th. And we started talking about how our lives are very busy and how job demands sometimes really pull us away from what we need to be doing to take care of our health. And that's a lot about what this book is referring to, the slow down diet. So we were talking about how different employments sometimes expect your time possibly far past the 40 hours a week. And it's very difficult.
Very often.
And so it's like, how do we gain control of our lives again? How do we get this balance? And I guess it looks different for everybody, but
well, yeah. I got laid off, so that's how I got my balance. Well, and unfortunately for me, when I got laid off, I was 60. So I ended up, there's a program that would pay for me to go to school. So I did a 2-year school thing at Whitby Community College. And then I was 62 and I was able to take early retirement Social Security. So I was able to retire. Now, if I was 59, I would have had a year of, I would have had to figure out how to pay my bills for a year at least. So for me, it worked out fairly well. There's lots of other people that are younger than I am that got laid off and they're struggling to figure out what to do with their lives now, even though they've worked at this company for 25 years. You know, you feel like back in the day, people worked for 25 years and you got, you know, a gold watch and you got retirement parties. Not me. They just said, you're out.
Yeah, you can't
rely. Don't care anymore.
You can't rely on company loyalty anymore. And
no.
That's why you have to set boundaries. But you don't. I didn't think of that when I was younger. I didn't even think I could set boundaries.
Right.
So
that's what most people say.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're expected to do all this extra work, and it's like.
I think
unhealthy,
I think it is unhealthy, and I think that. Quite possibly, if you empower yourself to approach your boss or your manager, they might work with you. But if you don't stand up for yourself, then obviously you don't ever stand a chance because they don't know what your needs are. But I
know in my case, my boss would say, okay, fine, we have other people that want your job.
And that could happen too. You kind of have to know your situation.
But that ties in with this book because the kind of stress you have with unending deadlines and not being able to have any free time, you know, you end up eating dinner at 7:30, 8:30. You can't have a regular schedule. You're always feeling that sense of stress like he talks about in the book.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's not good for your health.
No.
Yeah, so I guess if you're listening to this and you're thinking that you're in this situation where work is demanding too much of your time and you're not getting enough relaxation time, I guess look at your life and see if there are ways that you can find a little bit more time for you, anything that you may need to shuffle around or ask for help at work, delegate things, whatever. But I think another reason that we are in the situation with our health that we are in as a nation is that we are addicted to speed in our culture. The United States is addicted to speed. Everything must be fast, 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 and multitasking, and it's not serving our health. And I even look at our youth. It's not serving our youth. I look at what now the kids are doing in school, and they go to school all day, and then they're expected to do at least probably starting around 6th grade, 7th grade. They have a couple hours of homework a night. Well, if they play a sport or do music or something on top of that, they literally have no free time to spend with their family.
Right.
The family value is also being diminished because we're filling up the day with so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to just say, enough, you know, I want something different. And, you know, this could be a gradual shift that you can make. But like I said, each person's...
I had a revelation one time when I was at my sister's, and I remember when my mom was cooking dinner. You know, when she started cooking dinner, it was an hour before we got dinner. You know, and we were supposed to set the table and do all that stuff, but we knew it was going to be an hour. Well, I was at my sister's, and my sister was cooking dinner, and her son came in, and he said, well, how long is it gonna be? And she goes, probably an hour, and he's like, what? This kid had a microwave from the time he was a little boy. He thought food should happen in seconds, not an hour. That was his mindset. He wasn't, he couldn't understand an hour.
Preparing a meal.
He didn't get that. And, it's like, well, you can't put it in the microwave. No, we're not doing that. We're not microwaving dinner. We're cooking an actual meal. And
Once
he
again,
was
we're
very
just
upset because he thought, I want it now.
mhm.
Well, you're just going to have to wait. And the concept was foreign to him.
Yep, just like we were talking about,
Yeah.
that we want everything fast,
Yep,
and
the
that's
speed.
how our youth is seeing how life is supposed to work.
Right.
And I'd like to, this everything with this book. Yeah, I worry about our future, really.
I know, it's like,
But I guess what we could do is word of mouth, one at a time, right? We're
Yep.
here, we're putting together ideas. We can share this with our friends and family, and they can share it with their friends and family. And, we can touch many lives, and just that's what we're working on. So shifting gears to last week, there was one other point that I wanted to make. So last week we talked about that no matter what food you eat, choose the highest quality version of that food. And he said that if you are consuming poor quality food, you're more likely to overconsume. Do you remember some of the reasons why that is?
oh my God.
Because you don't get the right amount of nutrients.
Yeah, probably.
And so your body is still craving more.
Yeah, that is one of the things that
Yeah.
he said there. From my own personal experience, I also wanted to say that if you continue to elevate the quality of your food, chances are the poor quality food isn't going to appeal to your palate anymore after a while.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, because I remember 20 years ago, or for sure, let's see, 20 years ago, yeah, 20, maybe 25 years ago, I loved fast food. I thought that was delicious, right? But then as I've started on my journey to elevate the quality of my food, I can honestly say I don't enjoy eating out at restaurants anymore because I see that the quality isn't there. I'm used to, I don't want to sound like, I don't know what the word is, but arrogant, or it's just that it doesn't taste good to me anymore.
Right.
Like when I get my beef and it's like grass-fed, grass-finished, and it tastes really good. It's been so long since I ate a fast food burger, but I will say that sometimes we'll go to a restaurant and I'll get a burger. I always feel somewhat disappointed because it just doesn't, I can tell it's not the same quality that I'm used to.
Yeah.
So here I've gone to a restaurant and what is it like for?
Paid a lot of extra money.
$12 or something. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, I just spent $12 on this meal. And it didn't even appeal to my palate. So after that happened numerous times, I don't get a lot of joy and satisfaction out of eating out at restaurants anymore because I can tell that the quality isn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to make a profit, so they can't be giving you, unless you go to a place that is advertising like grass-fed beef or something.
Right. So there are some like
there
that.
are some, very few, but I would say most restaurants that I have gone to in the last decade, I most of the time I'm pretty disappointed. And so just know that on this journey, at some point, eating the poor quality foods may not appeal to you. Therefore, you don't crave them, you don't want them. The flavor may not grab you as it once did. Like I said, when I was a kid or when I was a teenager, I thought fast food, I thought it was just delicious. And now I am not happy like I said, well, let's just say 10 years ago, I don't think I've eaten fast food for 10 years, but I remember the last few times that I did eat it, I thought, I'm not going to eat this anymore because I don't even like it anymore. So the other thing that I really like about this process, where I really that it helps your metabolism and it helps get you to your ideal weight, is that if you go to, I don't know, you can go about anywhere anymore and there's like food there, but let's say you go to some kind of little meeting and there might be some really poor quality, you know, a dozen cookies for $2, and you recognize that these came from a store and these are poor quality. You know, I think that I can pass them up now without feeling like, oh, I really want one. No, the truth is I really don't want one. I know it's not going to taste good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it helps you then
Sure.
maintain your ideal weight, because you have a higher expectation of quality, that you know that once it hits your taste buds, it's not going to do it for you. So
your body doesn't feel that satisfaction. So
Well,
no.
it's just like me and Pringles. Did I mentioned that about Pringles, right? I read the article there, cancer in a can. Now, you know, it's like the thought of eating one of those does not appeal to me at all.
Right, because now your
It's
brain
like,
says,
what am I eating? This is crap.
I know.
You know, and I used to love them.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that's interesting that you realize that your taste can change.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I'll think I want something, and if you really think about it when you eat, like the awareness, it doesn't taste like it's not satisfying.
Right.
So yeah.
And I think too, as you start putting your health as a priority, you might have the idea that my body deserves better than that poor quality food. I don't really want to put that in my body right now. And so you might start making more choices like that too. And you're not sitting there inside, oh, I really want it, I really want it. No, you have evolved, and you're at the point where I deserve better than that. I'm not going to put that in my body. I don't want that in my body.
And not
So
only that is what I think of is that I want to be healthy. I don't want to be miserable when I get older, as I get older, and miserable and unhealthy. And if I eat that stuff, I'm going to be better off if I eat something that's healthier. It's just going to make my life better
Well,
as I get older.
Well, I've let myself get old and miserable and eat for bad food. So it's like you have to like do your remedial work.
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what we're here for.
Everybody does, pretty much, you know, it's like.
And it's okay. I mean, we're going to,
Right.
and what I want you to do is enjoy the journey, because the more that you can do that, I really feel that if your heart is happy while you're enjoying the journey, you'll have better success. Because then that goes into, again, if you're making the journey miserable, at some point you're going to drop off, and you know, so this is a very positive thing, a joyful thing, and that helps too. Like, this is a fun journey. I'm liking this journey. Give me more. You know, what else can I learn? What else can I elevate in my home? You know, where else can I find health foods? This is interesting. And it becomes an enjoyable process, instead of restricting your calories to 1,000 calories a day, and it's painful and you're suffering, and that is not fun. I've done it, I've tried it, and it is suffering.
Mhm.
And so that's not the way to go.
I told you about my trip to the farm stands down in Pueblo, and so I've been doing a lot of making stuff from that, all that. And the other day I made gazpacho, and with it, so actually I'm trying to grow tomatoes, but all my garden is starting to, the hail got it, but I bought some tomatoes, and I had gotten some cucumbers down there, and I bought celery from the store. But anyway, I made a big batch, and I had 4 jars. Actually, I gave a friend 1 jar, and I had 4 jars that I had saved the jars, and I brought them to my class meeting and offered, you know, anybody who wanted them, and 4 ladies were happy to take them, and they all sent me notes afterwards saying how good it was and how they wanted the recipe. And it was really just fresh vegetables, you know, that's what it was, and it was delicious. So I like to share that. I mean, it's something you could freeze it, but it's really meant to be a fresh kind of thing. So, you know, I couldn't have eaten it all myself.
I think this diet is making you so domestic.
I've gotten more. I have been cooking more.
But I mean, it's
I
nice
cooked beef
because
greens. I've been eating beef greens all week. That's been my main dinner.
but it's been inspiring you. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
And look at the people that you blessed with your gazpacho.
know,
I mean,
they were thrilled. They were thrilled. And Some of them said, I never even heard of that before. And I'm like, well.
I mean, and you know, by you even giving and being in service to others, you know, that makes you feel
It made me
good
feel
too.
good. Yeah, it did. It
Absolutely.
definitely did, you know.
So
I enjoy that part, so.
I think that's fantastic. I would say keep doing that because that is, you know, and it's helpful to others. They feel that that was so special. Thanks for thinking of
It's just a
me.
little jar of soup, you know, but they all had, most of them, 3 of them sent me, out of 4, sent me emails they had for lunch the next day and thoroughly enjoyed it, so. That made me very happy.
Yeah, it makes you happy. This
And I'm
whole
glad they
thing.
enjoyed it, you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I have a few questions about some specific foods, but I can wait till whenever in the meeting that you want to talk about that.
Well, let's bring it up so I don't forget. Go ahead and ask me your questions. This is a great time.
Well, I went to that website that Lynn told me that you guys talked about last week. I was looking around and I brought up a couple of questions. One of them is about coconut oil. The other, or coconut, everything's coconut.
Yes, it
nowadays.
is. Yes.
And is it really good for you? Is it not? Is it, you could use it for fat in your food and on your face and everything else.
Yes. It's really a good
you
thing.
know how experts sometimes like to change their mind.
Yes.
The current research and my current philosophy from all this research that I do and the people that I trust to do the research, I think it is the top oil that I use in my home. Yes, I will use it sometimes for lotions, but I use other things too, which I can get into a little bit. But when I cook something, the good thing about coconut oil is that you can heat it to a high temperature,
Okay.
and it will maintain its integrity. Whereas a lot of other oils, once you get it heated up,
Even
it
olive
breaks
oil,
down. Olive oil, I do not heat olive oil.
It's better if you don't cook with it.
So coconut oil, I buy it in a big old container off Vitacost, and I have it right by my stove. So if I ever make eggs, or sometimes I get these almond flour tortillas, I'll put some oil in there, and I use it very liberally, and that's about the only oil. I probably use that 95% of the time.
And you don't have to chill it or?
So coconut oil, after about, I'm not sure, but about 80 degrees, it will become a liquid state. And you could find the exact temperature. But I know that during the winter time and during spring and fall, my coconut oil is always solid. However, if it gets really, really hot on a given day, sometimes in the summer, it will liquefy.
And is it spoiled then, or?
No, it lasts forever.
I don't know these things.
Yeah, I have mine. I usually, well, I haven't done it in a while, but for a long time, I took a little scoop and I would melt it in the microwave and pour it over my dog's food. And it's supposed to be really good for their coat and their digestion and stuff. So, you know, and they like the taste of it.
And anything basically on Vitacost would be a good brand. See, I don't know what are good brands and what are not.
Okay, if you are thinking of ever putting in an order and you want to run something by me, you can call me or send me the links of the things you're thinking of buying and get my feedback.
Okay.
I've helped my mom that way because that's how she's progressed.
Things for us to take
Last week.
chips and things like that.
Uh-huh.
They were really good.
Well, I went through and I was looking, and some of those chips and everything, and they weren't that much different. I thought they were going to be horrendously expensive, and
they weren't
they
bad.
didn't think.
No.
I didn't think
They weren't that bad,
What
were
was
they?
the types that you brought in last week? I forget.
I like the siete tortilla chips. So it's a Spanish word, siete, siete chips.
That's
and
7. That was 7.
7 in Spanish, yep.
Oh.
And I also had some barbecue corn chips, and those probably, when I read the ingredients, those are, I think they use a coconut oil, or not a coconut, a canola oil. So I just, you know, I just eat those a little bit more in moderation, but I love the flavor of the barbecue so much that I allow myself to have some of those if I want something crunchy. And what was
There
the
was three
other?
things. I can't remember what.
Crackers, maybe?
I'm not sure. There was, and also I brought in those protein chocolate
Oh, yeah.
chip
that's right.
cookies. Quest.
Oh,
Quest. So most things on VitaCost I'm pretty good with. There is one thing that I do try to avoid, and this is controversial, but I am not a fan of soy.
yeah.
The research I've done on soy, I just have not been able to see the benefit. And I know it's controversial, so if your brain tells you different, you have to follow your own body wisdom. But my body wisdom says, if I look at the ingredients and it has soy flour or soy of any kind, I don't buy it and I try to find something else because I am not a fan of soy. So that might help you as well.
And then in the grocery store, like the regular, the commercial Safeways and King Supers, is Amy's a good brand?
Yes.
Usually, yeah,
There's
I think
Amy's
Amy's
soup. There's Amy's salsa, or a couple
And
things.
there's like little frozen dinners if you have
They're tasty.
and I just wondered if they were.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so another thing to think of is gluten. So for me, I don't do a lot of gluten, but I'm not 100%, I'm not celiac.
Right.
I don't have to avoid it completely, but you know, if you're wondering, is it good or how should I determine? That's another thing that sometimes I do. I try to not buy everything with gluten. I try to
A
sometimes
lot of
look
people
for.
have gluten reaction, they don't even realize it. And if they would take some of the gluten out of their diet, it might make them feel better.
But then you have to do like an elimination thing to try
Right.
to figure it out. I'm prone to, like, if I'm worried or anything, it's always digestive problems.
Yeah.
So some people get headaches. I get digestive problems. So I would like to eat better to eliminate a lot of that stuff. I mean, it talks about it in the book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Were there any other specific things that you?
What do you think of rice? I love rice, and yet it's white. I mean, I like
get
brown
brown
rice.
rice.
Yeah,
So
it's not so good for you.
So I'm going to go off of what I know Mark has said in his book. Well, first of all, I always soak my rice for about 24 hours.
Really?
And again, it just helps with digestion, but I will soak it with some plain yogurt or kefir, if you're familiar with kefir.
I'm not familiar with kefir.
So kefir is another product, kind of like plain yogurt, sour cream. You know,
Okay.
it's been
Oh, I know
fermented.
what that is now. Yeah.
Okay, and but it's usually in a more liquid form than you will find yogurt.
Yes.
And the background of that is that the fermented product, and if you don't have any of these products, you can also use lemon juice. But I soak my rice overnight, typically in plain yogurt is what I have in my house a lot. So I will just put that in there and I'll use my whisk to get it whisked around. And then I'll make sure that the water is warm or room temperature or even a little bit warmer. I'll warm it up just a little bit. Okay, so let me start at the beginning. If I'm going to make 2 cups of rice, I'll put 2 cups of rice in the saucepan. I'll cover it with water, so it's about double the water. And then I will put in maybe a 4th cup of kefir, and I will stir that around, or plain yogurt. And then I will just let it sit there on the stove top. I will either add warm water or I'll add room temperature water, or I use the water out of my, I have a reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I'll put it on the burner to get it to warm. And then once it gets warm, but not boiling, I mean, you don't want it hot, you want it just barely above room temperature. Then I just slide it off the burner and then I just leave it there till the next morning.
Okay.
Then I drain out everything. So I use my colander and I drain everything off and rinse it off. And then I look at the package directions and, add it to 2 cups water. And then I just start over again and I just cook the rice. But then it has helped break down some of the it's easier for your body to digest. The other thing I've heard about rice is that it has a lot of arsenic. And by doing that process, I feel like it helps rinse off the rice.
Arsenic? Why is there arsenic in rice? Hello.
Hi, Diane. I did get your voicemail, so I knew you were running a little late. Thanks for showing up. And I thought you're so like me because I would do the same thing. I don't like, if I'm going to be late, yes, I have to give a heads up.
Oh,
But yes.
No, I didn't know exactly
What time you'd get here.
I'm glad you're here. My one.
Oh, that's good done.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So we're talking about rice.
All right.
And do you know why there's arsenic on rice?
No, but I think it's only trace. It's not good for you.
I
but,
never heard this before.
Well, I read it several places, and I think it has to do with the manufacturer, and I'm not sure how. I'll have to Google it and find out.
Yep, we'll have to Google it.
It's
You know what? I'll write that down to arsenic and rice.
It's just that I like rice with cooked veggies and meat, protein. That gets me to eat even more veggies, like cheese. Yeah. I like the rice.
I don't think there's anything, if your body says that you like rice, I would feel free to eat it, absolutely.
I do like brown rice, so that's easy.
And you know what? So Mark's philosophy is, he does recommend the brown rice, but he says some white rice is going to be okay now and then if you need to switch it up. Like, my son doesn't like the brown rice. He will only eat the white rice. So I make probably more white rice in my home because he won't eat the brown rice. So, we're all just doing kind of the best we can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See,
And
I don't like the white rice or white bread. My roommate bought a whole bunch of, she said she got a deal on these white bagels, white flour bagels in it. And like, I won't eat those because I just don't like, to me it tastes like cardboard.
I like them.
I like the actual,
Sorry.
yeah, I like actual whole grains, it just tastes better.
Yeah.
And
now the
she
white
was
bread.
insulted.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Lisa's not here, but Lisa's just like your son.
She wouldn't eat.
She didn't like white stuff. She would separate the spaghetti and spaghetti. She'd put the one thing here and the sauce here, and they didn't want to touch.
But she's not like that now,
Don't tell
right?
her I told her. I don't know. I'm not
I don't know
sure.
either.
Oh, I'm recording it. So yeah.
Whoops. That's okay, she'll get over it.
And we had to lie to her. I told her she liked ham, but if we called it ham, she wouldn't eat it. So she thought it was bologna. So I used to give her bologna, but
Us moms just have to do what we have to do, don't we? Because sometimes, see the psychological thing?
She turned out pretty healthy, though.
Turned out just fine, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kathy, back to your question. If you really like a stir fry with meat and rice and veggies, yeah, go for it. Put some rice in there. That sounds great. And you can do the brown rice, and if every once in a while you just want to have some white rice, I would say there'd be nothing wrong with that.
Well, I like the brown rice. That would be good. So.
Yeah.
And you can get that off Vitacost too. And did Lynn remember to tell you that if you put some stuff in your cart at Vitacost and then you just hang low for a couple days, they'll send you via email. If you sign up with them, they'll send you, if you check out within the next 24, 48 hours, you'll get 10% off your order.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yes, I do that all the time. I put a couple things in my cart and then I forget about it. And the next thing you know, in a couple days, I got an email saying, finish your cart for 10% off. I'm like, I think I'll do that. So I pretty much never pay full price at Vitacost. If you do, there's not too many things I like to register for because you know how they love to bombard you with emails. But I tell you, I set up just a separate folder called coupons. So if I start getting too many and I'm not ready to place an order, I just put it in my coupon folder so it's not clogging up my email. But Vitacost is one that I do subscribe to. They have lots and lots of coupons for 20% off or 12% off, and if I'm not ready to use them, like I say, I just shuttle them off to this coupon folder.